Hi guys, welcome back to Codemaster Coach, your medical coding tutor. Guys, on last week I promised that I wanted to start talking about the different types of medical coders. And this week I want to talk to you about the physician office medical coder. As a physician office medical coder, I am my physician's moneymaker. Let me say that again. As a physician office medical coder, I am my physician's moneymaker. Without the coding in the physician's office and coding their physician office visits, reimbursement can't take place. Think about a physician's office. Patients seek healthcare services with the goal of treatment, such as a prescription or some type of therapy, and then they go home if their condition permits being taken care of at home. So as the medical coder, my goal is to not only meet my physician's needs, but my patient's needs as well. So my goal was that every patient seen today, the encounter must be coded within 24 hours. But again, that's going to depend on the size of your physician's office and the number of patients your provider sees daily. So how is this possible? First, I would run a report of the previous day's visits. I was fortunate enough to work with a physician who was just starting his practice. And as the medical coder, I made sure to locate the documentation for each office visit. Now, based on the documentation, I assigned office visit codes, such as the E&M, and any procedures that were done in the office setting, like an incision and drainage, or even the EKGs, I coded those procedures. Now, because I worked in a very small office that eventually grew, as I was the office manager, I was the receptionist, I was the medical biller, I was the medical coder, and I was the patient representative. A lot of you are probably in those same shoes as well. So my typical day consisted of coming in and making sure that the waiting area that the patient sat in while they were awaiting seeing the physician was tidy. I would make sure there was no papers or candy wrappers or dust or anything from previous days. I made that encounter, that waiting room, comfortable. That was my goal. I greeted the patient at the reception desk, and I always ask for ID and insurance card. I made it my business to do that because I wanted to treat each patient the same way. And I didn't want anyone to say, you didn't ask them for their ID. Why are you asking me? So I made it across the board rule that everybody seen had to come in and show ID and insurance card. Besides, some insurance companies do require pre-certification before services are rendered. So I would need to do that before the patient could go back and see the physician. Also, several insurances require a copay. And so I would collect that up front, because you and I both know if that patient goes back and sees the physician, I'll never get that copay for that visit. So I always collected that up front. Now, once I had done what I needed to do up front, I would then notify the medical assistant or the nurse that the patient was ready to be seen by the doctor. After the completion, and after the patient was seen, and he'd already seen the physician, I made it my business to get back to that reception desk and always make a return appointment. Because again, as the moneymaker, I needed to keep patients, customers coming back. With such a small practice, my goal was to code all and submit. I did the billing as well. So I coded the encounter and submitted the claim electronically to the third-party payers. And so my routine was that any patient seen that morning between 8 and 12, I made sure to code and submit the claim in the afternoon between 1 and 5. And then the next morning, when I came back to work, any afternoon patients from 1 to 5, those claims were coded and submitted the next morning between 8 and 12. So I found myself a little rhythm that really worked for me to stay on top of the claims every day. Then remittance advices would come in from previous claims that I'd submitted, and I had to go into the patient's account and credit those accounts and then write off what needed to be written off. And then I prepared statements on the 15th and 30th of every month. I made sure every patient received a billing statement for any balances due monthly. So I had to be organized with that as well. If a claim was rejected or denied, my goal was to find the documentation, find out why it was denied, and work it until I could get that claim paid. I had to maintain good record-keeping skills because sometimes there were claims that I know I submitted to the insurance company, but never heard anything back from them on the claim. And I had to follow up on those claims because you only have a certain amount of time to submit those claims. After that period of time, you might as well eat those costs because third-party payers are not going to accept the claims after a certain period of time. And I think it averaged about 12 months for Medicare and Medicaid. So I had to submit every claim within the time that I had to work them. And once the claim was finally closed, my log would show that claim closed. But as long as that claim was open, I had to work it until I got that claim paid. So in conclusion, a physician office medical coder is a vital member of the physician's office. I am my physician's moneymaker. Okay, guys? I am my physician's moneymaker. Next week, we'll be talking about emergency room coding. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, be sure to do so and come on this journey with me. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.